Today we are going to make some gorgeous garden inspired Christmas ornaments for the holiday season. Welcome to CreArtive by Nature DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. We'll be starting off with this white plastic ornament I picked up from Dollar Tree, but feel free to use anything you have in your stash. I also have this floral napkin and some matte decoupage glue. Feel free to use Mod Podge if that's what you have. So I need to remove the layers from my napkin. I like to use tape to pull off the under layers. This only had 2 plies, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I'm just testing to see if there was another one, and there wasn't. So now I'm going to start to break this down into smaller pieces. You can get so many beautiful napkins out there. This particular one is from a store called Dollarama here in Canada, but definitely check out your local dollar stores as well as anywhere that sells party supplies or places like grocery stores. They would have lots of beautiful napkins. So I'm going to start off by applying a coat of my glue to the ornament and then pressing the napkin piece into place. You'll definitely want to add a layer of some decoupage glue over top, and then you can use your finger to smooth it out if you would prefer. I don't mind a few wrinkles on things like this. I just think it adds to the texture, but I know some don't like the wrinkles, so you can smooth them out with your finger. So I'm going to continue to apply the glue and the napkin until the whole surface of my ornament is covered. So my ornament is all covered, but I still had the odd white spot showing, so I'm just going in and adding some little pieces to cover up those little white spots. You'll want to set it aside to dry. I like to put it on a paintbrush and then place it in a jar. While that's drying, I'm going to distress the top. Now this part is optional. I am using archival ink in the potting soil color. Archival ink is a permanent ink, so it works well on surfaces like this. I'm just applying it using a makeup sponge. I'll apply one coat, allow it to dry, and then add some more. You can see the difference between the two of them right here. Once your ornament is dry, you can put the topper back on, and now it's time to decorate. I have got this beautiful linen and cotton trim by burlapfabric.com. They have a code for you to use to get $5 off when you spend a minimum of $5. So you'll definitely want to check them out. I'll have the link for you down in the description box as well as pinned in the comments. So I have a selection of these beautiful paper roses that I picked up from a store called Dollarama here in Canada. I distressed a few of them using my potting soil ink. And I also have these leaves. They were in my stash from some Dollar Tree flowers that I picked up in the spring. I just snipped them down to size, and now I'm gluing the flowers and the leaves into place. I'm just creating a beautiful arrangement around the top of the ornament. Feel free to use any flowers that you have or that you can get, and greenery as well. You could add a touch of Christmas greenery in something like this as well, but I thought these little leaves were so pretty and perfect for a garden inspired ornament. So now I'm just going to add just a little bit more. I decided to use these cute little yellow flowers, and I'm just going to snip them down to size and glue a few of those into place as well. So I'm really happy with how the arrangement is looking on the ornament, and now I'm going to use that trim from burlapfabric.com. I'm just going to cut a strand down and then tie the two ends together, just like you see me here, and that will provide a nice little hanger for your ornament. I decided that I just wanted to add just a touch more, so I'm going to use this cotton trim in the cream color. It was just in my ribbon drawer, and I'm going to tie just a simple little bow around the top of the ornament hanger. I'm just adding a little dab of hot glue to help hold the bow into place, and then it's ready to be hung on the tree. I just think this is so, so beautiful. So for this ornament, you will need a butterfly. I picked this up from my local dollar store. It had a clip on it, so I just removed that. You'll also need a branch. Now, I foraged this branch from a nature walk. I love to do that. I highly encourage you to do the same. I really like branches that have a little bit of character to them, so I snipped it down to size, and then I'm going to be now tying on some jute. You'll want to do this part first before you start to decorate, because you want to make sure that it hangs properly and that where you decorate it, it is going to be showing properly as well. So I'm just going to tie the jute on each end and then just fiddle around with it until it's hanging properly. And then I'll know where to put my butterfly and all my other little decorations. I had picked up these cute little mushrooms from my local dollar store. Dollar Tree has little mushrooms as well, and so do other craft stores. I love these two different sizes. I'm going to be giving them a coat of some paints, chalk paints in these two colors. It's New Life and Whisper. I'm mixing the two colors together to match my butterfly. But first, I'm going to give this a coat of some gesso. Gesso is a primer that artists use on canvases, and I know that the red will seep through my paints, so I wanted to seal that all up. So I give 1 to 2 coats of the gesso and then allow it to dry. The mushrooms are all nice and dry. Now they are ready to paint. So I'm going to apply 2 coats of my paint to the mushrooms, allow them to dry. The paint looks lighter at first, but once it's dry, you'll see how well it matches the butterfly. The mushrooms are all nice and dry now. I'm going to start to add some little dots to the top to make them look like toadstools. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush and just some off-white paint, and I'm just going to apply those little dots. Looking so, so cute. I am going to just apply them randomly until I am happy with how it looks. So I've allowed the mushrooms to dry, and I also gave them a coat of varnish. That will just help to protect the paint. Okay, so now I'm adding some preserved reindeer moss onto the little branch. I'm just applying some hot glue and then pressing the moss into place. That will just help to build a base for our butterfly and give that kind of nice gardeny look. I'm just playing around with the placement of the butterfly. I need to make sure that there's going to be some adhesion between the branch and the butterfly. And then you can just go ahead and hold it till set. Then feel free to add more moss where you would like. I always just continue to test as I go along to make sure that my ornament is hanging properly as well, so it's not too heavy on one side or on the back or the front. Now I'm also going to adhere the little mushrooms. So I'm just figuring out my placement, and then I'll use some hot glue, put it into place, and then hold till set. And I'll do the same for the little one as well. So I'm really happy with the placement of the mushrooms. Now I'm just going to go in and add some leaves. You could add some evergreens as well if you'd like. I'm just using some hot glue and applying those cute little leaves into place. And you can use some flowers for this as well. I think that would be really pretty. I just really like the simplicity of this and how it's kind of all monotone. Next, I'm adding these cute little white flowers that I am just snipping down, and I'm going to tuck a few of those sprigs into place as well. I really love how this one turned out. I just think it is the sweetest. So I still had some of my paint left over from my last project, so I am painting this square wood plank that I had from Dollar Tree. Just going to give it one coat all the way around, including the edge. Going to set that aside and allow it to dry. Once it is dry, I am now going to be applying this beautiful rub-on transfer from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut out the part that says "You are a wildflower." I thought that was so fitting for a garden themed Christmas ornament. If you haven't applied rub-on transfers before, you just need to make sure that your surface is clean. Put your transfer into place, and then you can rub it on using a craft stick or whatever you have on hand. You just want to make sure that you lift it up once in a while to see how your transfer is doing. It kind of turns cloudy once the transfer has adhered to your surface. So I'm just peeling it up. You can see I've got a really good transfer there. I decided I wanted to do the back side of this one as well. So I have this French script rub-on transfer, again from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to figure out the placement of this one. I really like the script right here, so I'm just going to put it back onto the backing and then put my plank on the surface and just draw around it. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut it. This way here, I know exactly how much I need and I won't be wasting the rest of this transfer. So again, same process before, you're just going to put it into place and then rub it on using a craft stick. So I think this looks absolutely beautiful so far. Now I'm adding that little touch of nature that I always love to add, and that is my branches. So I'm figuring out exactly where I want them and what length I need, and then I'm going to cut them down to the size that I need using my snips right here. And then I'm going to be applying them using some hot glue. Now I want them to be exactly on the edge, so I'm just applying some hot glue there and then placing it on the surface and pushing the branch into place, and then allow the glue to set. I did that for both the top and bottom, but I did notice I saw a bit of the hot glue, so I'm going to go in and add just a touch of some preserved reindeer moss, and that will hide the glue. So at this point, you can add any other decorations that you'd like. I'm going to keep mine really nice and simple and just leave it with the moss and the branch. But I am going to use this beautiful hemp green cording that I had. It's like a jute twine. And I'm going to use that for my hanger. So I'm just figuring out how long I need it. And then I'll tie it onto the branch on each end. And feel free to add a dab of hot glue to help hold that into place. This ornament couldn't be any easier. I absolutely love this one. So I picked up these glass disc ornaments from Michael's. You will also need a selection of some dried flowers and greenery and grass. I'm just going to remove the top of the ornament, and then I'm going to start to fill the inside with these beautiful dried flowers and grasses. I'm going to start off with this rosemary that I had, and I'm just going to insert it through the top. And then if you want to, this here is actually some pearly everlasting that I had dried. I like to use the end of a paintbrush just to move things around so I can try to put them into place somewhat. I'm going to just continue to fill the ornament with some dried florals until I get a look that I really like. So I have some dried roses and some lavender, grasses, baby's breath, ferns, and some seed pods. have my ornament all filled to the way I like. I'm really happy with that. Now I am going to distress the top of this ornament. Now I'm just going to be using some antique gold craft paint for mine. I would encourage you to go out and spray paint. I couldn't do that. My garage was being used that day, as well as it's just too cold to spray paint outside. So I'm like, well, let's try craft paint. So I did end up giving the topper 3 coats of the craft paint. And then I decided that I would go in and add some distress ink here. I wanted to age it a bit more. So, sorry, this is archival ink again in the potting soil. I'm applying it with the sponge and you can see that that just ages it even more. So if you're not able to spray paint like I was this day, then you know that you have an option if you don't want that shiny silver look. I am going in and just sealing it up with my varnish. The varnish did kind of reactivate the ink, but it worked fine. I just applied it all over, allowed it to dry, and you can see how well that looks. It definitely has an aged look. I'm just going to put that back into place. And now I'm going to add some trim. This is some lace trim that I picked up from Dollar Tree. It's just beautiful. It's one of my favorite trims to use. Just again, cut it down to size and then tie the 2 ends together. So just for a last added touch, I'm using this raffia. I like to crunch it up just to make it a bit more pliable. Just wrapping it around the neck of the ornament and tying a simple bow. I'll just trim off the ends and then I'll just add a little dab of some hot glue to help hold that into place and prevent it from coming apart. And then it's ready to go on the tree. Isn't this just so beautiful? So I picked up this beautiful little frame from the thrift store. It's got a little hanger on it already. I also have this one here. It's a little brass one as an alternative, but I really wanted to use this one since it already had the hanger on it for me. So I just removed all the parts and I'm also removing the backing. So you can see I'm just having to pry that off, and there's some little nails there. I had to pull those out as well. So I wanted to distress this one as well with my potting soil archival ink, but first I needed to remove the adhesive that was on the back, so I just scraped that off. And now I can go in and apply that ink using my makeup sponge. I do end up adding 2 to 3 coats of this, allowing it to dry in between. I just love the way this is looking on this silver frame. It definitely adds a bit more of a patina, a very unique look. So I had this book page that's coffee dyed, and then I also have this rice paper from Stationery Pal. They sent this to me a while back. I'm going to be using my matte decoupage glue, and I'm going to just apply that to the book page and then press my rice paper into place. I will have the link to Stationery Pal for you down in my description box as well, in case you want to check them out. So I just pushed that into place. Now I didn't bother to add a coat of my decoupage glue on top at this point, and you'll see why here in a bit. Next, I'm going to be using my piece of glass to create an insert that'll fit inside the frame. So I'm just going to use a pencil and trace around it, and then I'm going to be using my scissors to cut this out. I'm just testing out to make sure that that paper fits inside. It's got beautiful texture now. Okay, so these little ferns, I actually dried them this summer. It was a really big fern and I just cut them down. I'm just going to be applying them along with these pressed violets that I had as well inside the frame. So I put the frame over top of my paper and I'm just figuring out the placement, and then I had to remove it again just for easier access to the paper, but I keep applying the frame over top just to make sure it looks good. So once you've got a placement figured out, you're gonna again use your decoupage glue and apply the flowers into the glue. Now I was kind of hoping that the rice paper would show up more. It does a bit, but once I applied the glue over top, it did disappear a little bit, but it still gives some beautiful texture. So you want to make sure you apply enough glue that your flowers and fern pieces or whatever other botanicals you have into place, and then apply glue over top, just like I'm doing here. So I'm really happy with how that's looking. I'm putting the glass sheet on top just for a little while with some weight, and I'm just allowing that to set up. I didn't leave it on for too long, otherwise this piece would have stuck to the glass, and I didn't want that to happen. So I allowed it to completely dry, and then I'm going to trim off any of the excess. But before we put it all together, I wanted to create a backing. So I've got this this cardstock, and I'm just cutting it down or tracing around it and then cutting it down to the size that I need. And I also have more book pages that are coffee dyed. So now I am going to be applying just a glue stick to the cardstock, and then I'm going to be taking my book page and I'm going to be pressing the cardstock into place. I just want to make sure my script is going the right way. I'm using a bone folder just to make sure it's pressed down really well. Then you can take your scissors and cut it out. So my backing is all ready to go. I'm going to start to put everything back into place. I forgot that these were actually originally from Pottery Barn, so I wanted to keep that little piece of paper. So I put my botanicals into place, my piece of glass, and then my Pottery Barn paper down. And then I am going to be applying my backing just using some hot glue. I'm just going to add a little bit more of the ink on the back, and that'll just help to blend it all together and give a bit more of a grungy look. Now for the trim. Again, I'm using this lace and this cotton trim from Dollar Tree. This cotton trim, I believe it's from my local craft store. I just tied that around the hook. I think it looks so cute. And then again, I'm using this lace from Dollar Tree as my hanger. I really am so happy with how this turned out. It is the perfect garden inspired ornament for your tree. Here they are all laid out for you to enjoy. I would absolutely love to know which ornament was your favorite, or if you plan on making any of these, by leaving me a comment down below. Here's some more ornament inspiration for you to the right. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.